to do with the canyon on Mars. Okay? Same with the moon. The craters on the moon, you know, they may be from ice impacts because they find almost no meteorites, but lots of craters. You know, an ice impact would do that very same thing. And outer space is full of comets. Of course, I didn't see it happen, and you know, I can't prove it, but that's...
When was your grandfather born?
When was my grandfather born?
Yeah, because you weren't there and you didn't see it, so...
Didn't see it.
You know, you're always telling us you didn't see it, you weren't there, but you weren't there for your grandfather's birth either, so how do you know he was born?
Right. That's a good point. That's
a good point. I mean, if we're getting into this, I wasn't there, I didn't see it.
Sure.
Heck, I'm not looking at what's going on in Chicago right now, but, you know, something's going on.
Sure.
You know?
That's where you have to keep that thought in mind. What we teach our students needs to be fair and honest, and we're not doing that. We're only presenting them one view. You read the textbooks, yeah, that author's talking like he was there. 4.6 billion years ago, this happened. 20 billion years ago, the Big Bang took place. Yeah, right. You know, you saw that?
Yes,
so
but
I object to the dogmatic teaching of evolution in our junior high and high school textbooks.
Well, is it healthy to do the same kind of dogmatic teaching that schools such as PCC do, using the Bible as their textbook for such classes as chemistry classes or physics classes? You know, I mean, that's just as one-sided, and these theories are just as tenuous as the kind of evolutionist model that you might come up with. The
point would be, like PCC and Christian schools, they teach plenty of evolution. My kids go there. I paid for the books, okay? Believe me, I've read them all. I've taught from those same books. The theory of evolution is thoroughly presented. I would say the kids would come out of PCC with a better understanding of evolution than the kids coming out of Pine Forest. Of course, they're not going to believe it, but they're shown they're shown the theories, and they're shown the fallacies of the theories. They're being educated, not indoctrinated, I would say is the big difference. Get all the kids together, give them a test. Give all the kids in America a standard science test. The kids going to a Christian school, which is about 1/4 of the cost, will test higher overall. You'll get a few duds in every group, you know, but the general overall average, the kids will test higher in every subject from private schools. Yes, sir?
You can't so much blame that on the authors of the books or the scientists going with theories as you can the politics of what the public schools filter into what is taught. I mean, private schools have greater funds and have more resources to call from, you know, so you...
Wait a minute, private schools have greater funds?
Not greater funds, but more support from
the parents.
Specialized groups.
I mean, average kid, I don't know what Pensacola's public school cost is. It's probably $5,000 a year per kid. If there's 30 kids in a class, that's $150,000 per class. That teacher does not make $150,000 a year. Something leaks somewhere along the system.
Well, not so much funds as it is support. I mean, it's a specialized group that they're paying for, specialized.
Sure. Well, my kids at Pensacola Christian, there are 30 kids in a class, just like the public school. 28, 30 kids in a class. And the teachers don't get paid near as much. I pay about $1,200 a year, $1,500 a year per kid. That's about 1/4 the cost of our public school system. To me, our Constitution does not give our government the right to get involved in education at all. I think education is the parents' responsibility. Now, if the parents want to get together with 50 other parents and form a local school district, fine. But Uncle Sam ought to have nothing to do with the subject, in my opinion. Uncle Sam has gotten involved in numerous things that has no constitutional authority to be involved in. It's supposed to be involved in protection. You know, we should have an army and a navy and an air force. And it should be involved in the punishment of evildoers. We should have a judicial system. But in many, like the welfare system, government should have nothing to do with that. That's part of our major problem. The more government gets involved in, which is a whole other subject, you know, but the more taxes they take, and pretty soon we get socialized system where everything goes to them and they just distribute it out, which is what Karl Marx's system is all about. But back on creation and evolution. The creationist worldview would say the world is not millions of years old. Doesn't need to be. Everything can be explained in just a few thousand years. And there are some scientific facts that point to the world not being millions of years old. I'll get into that in a minute. Yes?
What do creationists feel about the rest of the universe?
The rest of the universe? Oh, we think it's out there.
Did God create the rest of the universe?
Oh, absolutely. I believe God created everything. Pretty much as is. There have been some stars fall apart. We've seen some novas and supernovas, but nobody's ever seen one form. We've seen meteors fall apart. Nobody's ever seen one form. What we see is what would be predicted by the creation model, decay, the second law of thermodynamics. Things are winding down. It started with an initial amount, an enormous amount of energy and order and design. It was perfectly formed like a car coming off the assembly line. And since then, it's been steady decline.
Well, what explains the reason that it's not lasting? What, he built it with planned obsolescence or what?
I don't think it was built with planned obsolescence. I think it was built to be the perfect place for man, and then man was given the freedom of choice. You can choose to serve God and obey Him or not. If you choose to disobey, there are consequences. If you choose not to change oil in your car for 40,000 miles, there are going to be some consequences.
But how can you blame mankind for cosmic decay? Meteors falling apart, stars dying.
Well, yeah, as far as all of the nature, see, all of this, it's the creationist worldview would be that the whole universe was created by God, and then man was only put on this earth. I can't prove there's anybody anywhere else. I don't think there is. Just can't prove there is or isn't, but that's outside of the realm of science. But because of man's sin, the second law of thermodynamics, entropy, is part of the curse on this earth, and everything is winding down, falling apart. Your house gets dirty, not clean automatically. Your car falls apart, doesn't run better automatically. Everything takes work. And nearly everybody in the world is involved in fighting against the second law of thermodynamics. That's why we have carpenters to build new houses, because the old ones are falling apart. That's why we have repairmen. That's why we have mechanics, you know. Just everybody's got a job because of the second law of thermodynamics.
So even if there is a God who has created this perfect system originally, but then gives man or people free will to choose to do otherwise, why would you even choose to be on the side of a God who does sort of things like that, you know? Who gives you free will and then says, well, if you don't worship me, then you're screwed. Sorry.
We're really getting off the subject here. I mean, I'm sorry. We're really getting off the subject.
Yeah, that would be a little different. Was there a creator at all? This might be a bigger view of there had to be a creator of some kind. Now, who was he, and what's he like? What are his attributes? What's his personality like? That's kind of a different subject. But is there a creator? You know, and then if there's a creator, was it Buddha or Allah or Jehovah or, you know, this is where theologians differ by the thousands, you know. And the only way to know for sure who's right is to ask me, of course. I've been involved in, you know, a lot of things as far as energy conservation. I built numerous houses, and I have tried, you know, with all the different energy conservation laws, but and as well as wind generators and that type. I'm very interested in that type of stuff. I'd love to see the results.
I'll give you an address for it. You did love it. It's a great
Yeah,
location.
awesome. Yes, sir.
I have a question going back to the dinosaurs.
Okay.
Where do you think that the dinosaurs that survived past the flood were just survivors that did not go, or were there dinosaurs that were, smaller ones, of course, that were on the ark, or were they all just survivors in the water, like plesiosaur or the brontosaurs or so?
Okay.
Were there dinosaurs on the ark?
I would say there had to be dinosaurs on the ark, those that needed to be. The Bible is very plain. Noah brought air-breathing, land-dwelling animals. He did not need to bring fish on the ark or whales. We have classified whale as a mammal. Well, our classification system dates back a couple hundred years. The Bible classification system may be different, where if it lives in the water, it's a fish, be it whale, dolphin, you know, or barracuda. So we cannot take today's classification system and fault the Bible, because a whale may have been considered a fish in biblical terminology, which was long before Carolus Linnaeus came along. But the air-breathing, land-dwelling dinosaurs, we assume Brachiosaurus would have been land-dwelling.